Hi there, welcome to LSAT Demon Daily. I'm Josh Mansfield, a teacher with the Demon, and with me is Nathan Fox, one of the founders of LSATdemon.com and the weekly podcast Thinking LSAT. Nate, today we have an email from Danny. Subject is only 1 point movement in 40 days.
Danny says, I currently have a 40-day streak starting with my diagnostic, where the majority of those days I'm able to drill 30 or more minutes per day. I had a diagnostic score of 152, and I've taken 6 tests since 153, 150, 154, 158, 156, and 153 in order. I currently take one a week, and after my latest 153, I feel rather discouraged, even though my LR and RC ratings have improved from day one. I currently finish sections with time remaining and notice slightly silly mistakes when taking a look back at test results. For context, my ratings are LR 69, RC 66. My best RC section has been a -2, and my best LR section has been a -4. What can or should I be doing to take my studying to the next level? I have a 2.89 GPA and a couple years of work experience. I will not sign up to my test until I am PTing in the 173 or higher range. But I do want an August test so I can apply next cycle if the stars align. Best, Danny.
I think that last sentence, I will not sign up until I'm testing in my goal range, is about the only thing of our advice that Danny is taking at this point.
And even that, he's saying, I want an August test so I can apply next cycle if the stars align. So it's like he's pushing for
right
a goal that is, as of now, still distant. I mean,
yeah,
diagnostic 152, pretty damn good.
That's pretty good.
We see people start in the 150s and finish in the 170s all the time. So it's not like that would be an uncommon amount of improvement at LSAT Demon. I think you can do it, Danny, but trying to force it to happen on any particular timeline is bad. That's a bad plan.
Mm-hmm. Let's also go on to the next most glaring one, finishing sections with time remaining.
Yeah, that's the obvious.
Yeah,
that's your problem, dude. I mean, 100%. You have not yet taken on board the idea that you're going to do fewer questions and get more points. I mean, we were just talking about it, so it's fresh in my mind. We talked about it on Thinking LSAT episode 503, which we just recorded this morning. It's a good opportunity to shout out our forthcoming book. It's called The LSAT is Easy. And one of the things that really resonated with the audience who saw the preview versions of, we sent out samples of the book. And one of the things that really resonated with people who read the sample was the breakdown of how many questions correct it takes to get to any particular score. And, Danny, I understand that you eventually want to get to 173 or higher. But before you do that, you're not, you've knocked on the door kind of 160, but you still haven't cracked that nut. We got to get you to 160 first. And the easiest way, Danny, I'm talking to you, Danny, the easiest way for you to get to 160 is to do fewer questions, because all you need is like 18 correct per section to get to a 160. And 18 correct is not that hard. It's harder if you do 25 questions to get 18 correct than it is if you just did 20 questions.
Right.
Or even you could do 17 questions, 16 or 17 questions, Danny. If you got all 16 or 17 of those questions that you attempted right, and then randomly guessed on the rest, you would have your 18 points per section that you need to get into the 160s. And that would be a nice milestone on your way to 165 and eventually on your way to 170. What do you think of Danny just kind of writing it off with, I noticed slightly silly mistakes when taking a look back at my test results.
Yep. That ties into exactly what I was going to say. The reason that they feel silly, here's the problem. You're not realizing those mistakes in real time. The issue is that you aren't seeing, I misread that, because you're going so fast and you're not looking close enough that you are that is just a consequence of doing too many questions. The standard that I give my students who really struggle with time is I try and tell them I want them to get to a point where they could feel comfortable telling me how to do that problem, right? If they were to volunteer in class, describe how to do a problem, like that's how, I mean, that's truly solving it. Now, is it always that level on practice tests? Maybe not, but I don't know if Danny has ever experienced the feeling of, I could teach this problem to somebody else. I understand what the passage is describing. I understand what the question is asking me to do. I understand why the right answer is right. I understand why the wrong answers are wrong. If Danny's going and finishing sections with time, I don't know if he could do that on any single problem on that practice test.
Yeah.
And that goes back a little bit. I think Danny's taken too many practice tests.
That too. Yeah.
Like one a week, slot machine.
Yeah. I don't need you doing one full practice test a week. I need you to drill and do time sections and stop just doing a full test every Saturday so that you could hopefully crack the 160s, crack the 165s, crack the 170s. It's not going to happen because you're not learning enough from your mistakes because you're making so many of these slightly silly mistakes. I mean, consider, oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Client. The judge ruled against us on your motion to change venue because as it turns out, I made a slightly silly mistake and I didn't file it properly.
We lost summary judgment because I didn't look at the date that my filing was due by.
I'm sorry. For this defense, I needed to allege these particular facts, and because I didn't allege these particular facts, we're not allowed to use that defense. I'm sorry. It's a silly mistakes.
I missed that person on the witness list. My bad.
You know how it is. Silly mistake.
It's going a little too fast. But boy, I got off at 4:00 on Friday, so that was nice.
Yeah, I did you and 24 other clients. I mean, of course, we lost, we only got 16 out of 25. Right? Yeah. It's just not lawyer shit. I mean, this is lawyer shit. Lawyers don't make silly mistakes, is what I'm saying. Not good ones. You make no silly mistakes. You get paid for the work you do. And so, Danny, like, there's a lot of smoke here and just not enough fire. You're not actually doing it. It gives the appearance of doing it. And yeah, sometimes you get it right. But Danny, you're not understanding what you're reading, dude. For every question you miss, there's another question that you probably got right without really understanding why. So if your best ever logical reasoning section is a -4, then that means your best ever understanding of a logical reasoning question is a logical reasoning section is -8. So you're doing 25 questions, but you're only understanding maybe 17 of those questions on a good day. That's on your best day.
Right.
It's not lawyerly. And because you're not behaving like a lawyer, you're not getting a score of a lawyer. Dude, just do 20 questions per section, get vastly more of them right. Your score will skyrocket immediately. And that's how you're going to set yourself up for getting that eventual 173 or something anyway. You just don't get there by making mistakes.
With a diagnostic score of a 152, if Danny were to take this advice, he may very well have the natural aptitude that puts him in the 160s right now. An LR score that's gone up from drilling to a 69 and RC of 66, including, and that builds in all the mistakes on his practice test, which means in spite of these terrible practice tests, he's probably in the 70s on his drilling score. Like, slow down just a little bit, Danny, and you might find yourself in amazing position already.
Oh, yeah. It wouldn't surprise me at all if he just got a 165 on his very next test by just doing the little stuff better.
Yep.
Sorry for the golf analogy. I just know that Josh is a golfer. If anybody was watching the Masters yesterday, Rory's third shot on 13, the par 5, that was disgusting. That was gross. That was like, I could have hit a better shot than that. And it's that silly mistake. I mean, that should have been a 4 or 5 every time. That should have been a 4 or 5. Like, if he goes and has that exact same shot, he could do that 50 times and he'd make a 4 or 5. His average would be like 4.5.
Yep.
And he would never, ever make a 6. And he would certainly never make a 7. And instead, he just chunks this little wedge out to the right and it goes in the creek, and he almost loses the damn tournament because of it.
Yeah.
And that's Danny, that's what you're doing on, like, you're just left and right. You're doing that. You're just, you're doing way too much. You're missing the easy ones. And man, you miss those easy ones. Like, you just don't get to 173 by missing the easy ones.
Nope.
And you're missing lots and lots of easy ones. I'll say one last thing before we wrap it up. I know I've been already way too long-winded, but at every level, so 130s, 150s, 170s, at every level, you will always be making half of your mistakes by just simply misreading things. And that'll be true, Danny, even when you clean up a bunch of these mistakes, you're going to realize that still at least half of your mistakes are just, you just misread something. So right now you're misreading a lot. You're misreading passages, you're misreading questions, you're misreading wrong answers that you end up picking, you're misreading right answers that you end up not picking. You've got multiple layers of misreadings going on. You know, you think it's like a good thing that you're finishing with time remaining. It's actually a terrible thing that you're finishing with time remaining, because it's like unknown unknowns. You don't even realize how poorly you're reading the test. Lots of natural aptitude, lots of horsepower. 152 is a great diagnostic, but you're not harnessing that aptitude. Instead, you're just racing the clock, and you're just falling into every trap and making so many silly mistakes.
You've got the power, Danny. You got to do it the right way.
Yes. Anything more for Danny?
No, thanks, Danny. Email daily at lsatdemon.com if you'd like to ask us a question or share some LSAT or law school admissions news. Thanks for listening.